Every one of us needs to be involved in the war of the mind, the war of perception, the war of the media. Two things are necessary. Number one, you yourselves have to go out there and engage. If you're not going to engage, who will? You have to become voices of reason. Let me help you with statistics and facts. And this leads me to my second point. Number one, you need to be brave and courageous. And number two, you need to be armed. By armed here, I don't mean Second Amendment, even though that is shari'i and halal and no problem. Anybody comes and says, you're preaching jihad, I say, no, I'm an American preaching Second Amendment rights for American Muslims. Do you condemn the terrorist group Hamas? And do you condemn the innocent killing that they have done, of the killing of innocent people? In my khutbah, I have said, I have no problems telling the generic truth, which is our religion does not ever sanction the killing of innocent people. But I personally don't need to condemn specific actions because I'm not in the place you are. I will only condemn, if I were asked in public, I will say, I will only condemn if we fairly condemn all sides. The minute you want to fairly condemn, I will be at the forefront condemning my own, no problem. But if you're going to be selective in your outrage, and if you're going to pick and choose who to condemn, then I'm sorry, I'm not going to play according to your rules. That having been said, you might not have that type of luxury. So I say to you, Islamically, there is no problem condemning haram tactics, and the killing of innocents is a haram tactic. So if you want to condemn, you go ahead and condemn, no problem. But once you've done that, now you've gotten that big elephant out of the room, understand, the whole perception, the whole phrasing, do you condemn? This is a setup. So you need to understand, this is what is called a red herring. Red herring, you throw in an argument that is not fully relevant, and you spend hours and hours talking about an irrelevant argument. Because it is a red herring, go ahead and just take the bait and then move on. Does Israel have the right to defend itself? Yes, every people have the right to defend themselves. Is it permissible for the Israelis to kill innocents? You need to go in for facts now. Who are going to engage with conversation with you have no idea of the realities of Gaza. Was not assigned to Israel even under the 1948 partition plan. It's not legal for Israel to be there according to any law. And that is why even the United Nations calls it occupied territory. In 1948, as you're aware, we don't agree with this, but if you want to be legal, say Israel was assigned 55% of the country and the Palestinians were given 45%. Even we don't like that, but khair, it is what it is. And Israel immediately tried to grab more than 55%. In the process, they expelled over 200,000 Palestinians to a strip of land next to Egypt called Gaza. So Gaza was under Egyptian control. Even in 1948, 250,000 Palestinians had to flee for their lives, and they took refuge in Gaza. In 1967, Israel launched a second offensive to grab even more land. And in 1967, it acquired the entire Sinai Peninsula from Egypt. It literally came in and took it. And it acquired the West Bank, Nablus and all of these cities. It simply grabbed them. And it attacked Jerusalem. And it acquired Jerusalem as well. Jerusalem, the United Nations said, should be neutral territory. Nobody should control it single-handedly. Jerusalem should be not controlled by Israel. But in 1967, Israel launched an offensive and they acquired, they gobbled up Gaza, the West Bank, and Jerusalem. This is where the story begins. If you want to begin 67, that's fine. If you want to go back to 48, that's fine as well. In 1967, Israel occupied the West Bank and occupied Gaza. And throughout the 70s and 80s, it now has control of around 750,000 people in Gaza. They took control and they started banning all types of protests. Gaza is connected to the ocean. Gaza would farm and they would fish. That's how they're earning their livelihood. Israel comes in and says, in order to fish, you need a permit. In order to farm, you need a permit. The ocean is in front of you. But for technicalities, you're not allowed to fish in the ocean. You want to build a house, technicalities, you're not going to get a permit to build a house. You want to correct the sewage system, you're not allowed. By the way, for 30 years, the sewage system of Gaza has not been allowed to be corrected. The same pipes that were built 30 years ago, 40 years ago are still there. Can you imagine the problems that they have here? Why? Because Israel did not allow permits. What are people going to do? Well, whether we get permits or not, we need to build houses. And so they build houses in Gaza. They build buildings in Gaza without permits. Gaza, the electricity, the water, the internet, everything is controlled by Israel. Even the most trivial of issues, you want to visit your family outside of Gaza, you need to get a permit. In 1987, the first intifada, the intifada was a mass protest, began in Gaza. And the Israelis respond with the one weapon they know best, sheer brutality. To imprison, to kill, to shoot people that are throwing pebbles. The Israeli tactic is very simple. They will respond to any violence with at least 10 times more violence. That is their response. It has been the case for the last 40 years. The Israeli Supreme Court allowed, listen to this, the breaking of the bones of children who throw rocks at the Israeli security. Nelson Mandela has called this to be the worst humanitarian crisis of our time. His grandson said, I visited Gaza, and the apartheid that they face is in many ways worse than our apartheid in South Africa. Why is it worse? I need you to understand this point. In South Africa, the whites wanted the blacks to be second-class citizens, but they were allowed to live freely in their own encampments. There was only restriction in certain areas where the whites lived. As for the people of Gaza, the Israelis don't want them there. They actually would prefer if they weren't existent. If they could, they would annihilate them. That's the reality. The South Africans, the whites, never wanted to kick the blacks out. So the level of apartheid that exists in Gaza is worse than the apartheid in South Africa. And the people who said this lived under South African apartheid. It's unparalleled anywhere in the world because the people that are controlling Gaza don't want these 2 million people alive. They want to do everything they can to just kick them out to Egypt, to Jordan, to other places. They don't want them there. They want to make life a living hell for them. So then what is the alternative? What is the solution? What is the future? Here's the brutal fact. That's why every peace talk has failed. That's why even the superpowers don't know what to do. What do you do with 2 million people? What do you do with them? 2.2 million. There is no solution. So when your interlocutor, when your boss, when your colleague comes, you need to bring it back to this reality. These 2.2 million people, they've been locked up by the oppressor. What would you do if you were locked up? What would you do for 3 generations? You have no future, no hope. There's no clean water, no jobs there, no security, constantly harassed, constantly intimidated. These are facts you need to know.